Welcome back to my humble abode. It's the Terradome UFC 275 recap edition. Put a little semicolon on it because it was a banger. Motherfucking banger. Um, this is probably the best card of the year. Besides what? The London one? But the London one, the London one had a lot of excitement. I ain't even gonna cap. So I will I ain't gonna fucking pull hairs there. But this was an amazing card. Um, from the main event all the way down to the prelims, there was absolute bangers all around. Let's just get into it. Let's just start off with the prelims. Might as well start there. Savannah Gomez Juarez, that left hook overhand right. My goodness. I know Jason Herzog wasn't the ref because that's my boy, and he would have stopped it before girl got up because she was on a knee and she was out. She was out. She was fighting for her. She was fighting for her life. She was the opposite of Joanna, where Joanna hit the floor and was like, I'm done. Like fighters usually have that reaction when they get knifed out, or they're like, oh shit, let me get back up. Let me defend myself. Joanna was like, no, I think I'm just gonna lay here. And I think with Gomez, she fucking knocked Liang down, and she was like, Liang was like, let me get back in it, and then she ain't had no chance. So big win for Juarez. She had been on a schneid. I would love to see her fight like a Luana Pinedo or Jessica Penne just to get her back in the roll of things, because I think she just struggled going 1-2, 0-2 against the gals that were just ready, that were prepared, that have been in the UFC for a minute. So I think she just ran into buzzsaws that are very good on the ground, and she fought somebody that was willing to stand and trade for her, and she has rocks for hands. So good night. That moves us on to Kulabao versus fucking Sung Woo Choi. Prelim fight of the night. Can't be a fight of the night because the main event was a fight of the night. But my goodness, if it wasn't for that, these boys would be getting 50K. And maybe I hope they did get 50K because they deserved it. Because they shut it down. They threw haymakers at each other for 15 minutes. And honestly, I thought Choi won, but who cares? It was just an amazing, fun fight. Let's move on. Brendan Allen, he got off the schneid. He deserved that. He worked. He looked like he worked hard to get himself in good shape and to be way more consistent with his cardio. So he's not always like sometimes he looks like he's stuck in mud out there, and he didn't look like that tonight. He knew he was going against a guy who had good cardio and was only going to wrestle. So he said, okay, I'm a good grappler. I can wrestle with you, and I'm going to take you down, and I'm going to dominate you on the ground. And he did that. He deserved that UD, and shit, that was a fight that you should have just picked UD from the jump. That was destined to go to points. So I would love to see Allen get a guy like Phil Hawes get back in the game, and like at this point, Brandon's been too deep into it where he was probably going to get cut if he lost that fight. That's what I think. I don't think everybody else was thinking that, but that's what I thought. Brandon had been just up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't think the UFC was going to have a guy that was able to beat the top prospects, but not good enough to be there. But he showed progressions, and maybe we'll see something different. So I would like to see him fight a guy like Phil Hawes, who's fighting this weekend, and I would love to see what he does against him, because Phil Hawes is fighting Deron Wynn, DC's little boy, and come on. That's a KO for the boy. Unless Deron Thick Boy Wynn can fucking wrestle his ass for 20 minutes. For 15 minutes, sorry. We on to another Australian, JDM, leading off the main card after his Australian boy below him, Kulabao, goes crazy and gets a split decision win in a barn burner fight. JDM comes up and says, okay, you want to go 15 minutes? I'll KO this guy in 2. And with a nasty liver punch, and I mean, folded him. So I can't say anything else, but JDM is that dude. What I was telling y'all, everything I said before about his ability to to be slick and move in and out and read what you're throwing and already have a counter prepared in his brain, ready, locked and loaded. He's just that. He's just that dude, man. Um, I would love to see him fight a wrestling guy who's very, very good with his wrestling game. That's not just Maya, where he's like, yeah, he can wrestle, you know. Maya was just a guy, you know. And Della Maddalena is at that point where if you're fighting him, you better be very good at one. You better be at least exceptional at one thing, because he's already exceptional with his striking. So you better be exceptional at one thing, and hopefully that thing is wrestling. And I think that's the key to beating him. I would love to see him fight him. Like, I know I just said wrestling, but I would love to see him fight like a Michelle Pereira. In wrestling base, maybe a Neil Magny, Jeff Neal if they don't. But that's if they want to give him a top 15 guy. I don't know if Perez is a top 15 guy, but if he isn't, if he is, I think even if he is, I think JDM should be fighting him. On to from a young stud to a previous young stud to he's still kind of a young stud. I guess when you lose your prospect status, I think Jake Matthews had lost his prospect status. Jake Matthews, like I said going into the fight, I thought Fialho was gonna knock his head off. Jake had just shown this like complacency in his fights where he was just kind of accepting positions and all right, well I'm well rounded and all right, I'll figure something out from here and kind of he was kind of like he was exactly like how Brendan Allen is now. Brendan Allen was kind of inconsistent, stuck in the mud sometimes. Jake Matthews just sometimes looked like he could just never get anything going. And in this fight, he said in the fight, I mean, he's going into it that he was looking to knock this guy out or be knocked the fuck out. He said that in the Octagon interview, and in the previews, he said, I'm coming to knock this guy out. I've not been as aggressive as I was coming into the UFC, and which is like it took 8 years to realize that. But he said I gotta be more aggressive and take the fight to him, and he was throwing bangers. You know when some of y'all have thrown a punch, so like when you've thrown a punch and you're so mad or so pissed that you can feel all your muscles coming into. That's how he was throwing shit. Like I was like. You could see everything coming together, all his muscles coming together to fucking bomb shit on Fialho. And you could tell Fialho wasn't expecting that. And I think Fialho was expecting a nice little fight. This guy's gonna probably try to take me down a little bit. But I'm stronger than him, so I'll be able to get him off of me. And I got fucking power in my hands, so I'll be able to put him on his back foot. And once he didn't put him on his back foot and he started getting hit with power shots, he was like, oh. The fuck? Y'all didn't tell Henry Hoof. You didn't tell me he was doing this. And look, we might as well give Jake Matthews a new name. He better change his last name, his surname, something different, because he was a completely different fighter. He was strong. He was aggressive. He was aggressively smart. He was he was in out, and also if he got caught with something, he would maybe be on the end of Fialho's punches, and where he was losing a little bit of steam, and it wouldn't rock him. And I don't think he got rocked a little bit in the middle of the first, but he would right after he would put Fialho on his back foot. And Fialho, since that Pereira fight, we hadn't seen him do that, and he had been kind of just rushing through guys, and it really showed that Matthews is really taking the time to work his ass up. I don't really have a fight for him right now because I think he just needs to get dubs. I think he just needs to build confidence. This is a start, and he just needs to keep building confidence. I think Fialho needs to take some time off. He's already fought 4 times, and it's fucking June. Like, bro, maybe you need to take a little bit of a rest. And I understand it. He just got in the UFC. And he's just trying to make some money, So I I completely understand that, and I think at the end of the day, he's just gonna try to work his ass off to get back into the position that he was already at. So it's cool. I I really I I really enjoyed the fight. I think Jake Matthews fucking folded Fialho. It was a great knockout, and I think he gets back off the shine. Fucking Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. First off, let me give Joanna her flowers. Props on the retirement. She has been building her brand in these 2 years that she's been off, and shit, she deserves it. She's the ambassador of Poland right now, basically, and she said she wants to be a mom now, and she wants to build different things. She wants to build different things in her life. She wants to be a commentator. She wants to do different shit. She wants to be something outside of this, and completely understandable. So, shit. If you hating on her for that, you're a bitch, and fuck you. So props to Joanna on that. One of the greatest strawweights of all time. Her resume is up there with the greats, and just not just in fucking the women's division, the women's strawweight division, but in women's MMA and fighting. She deserves all the love. She deserves all the praise, because I mean she's that type of bitch. She's a bad. She's a boss ass bitch. I just think what happened, what I tweeted out in the middle of right after the fight, was what I was feeling going into it. I just think that Zhang Weili was not the test for her to have right now. She looked good. She looked like she can still compete for a belt. But if she fought Rose, who knows how that fight goes? Rose would have to take her down consistently, and I just think Joanna was at, I think Joanna was at the top, was a top level fighter last night, and I just think she really needed that not, I don't want to say an easy dub, but I think she needed a nice little give me back in the game fight. How Conor got Donald Cerrone, who was the perfect get back in the game fight, because he doesn't start off good, and he usually doesn't show up in big fights. So that would have been a nice little fight for her to have. I'm just saying, but I would have loved for her to fight maybe like a Yan Zhonian or Jessica Andrade. If Jessica was willing to move down, maybe you would have thrown her to a young bull, but Marina Rodriguez would have been a good fight, and would have built Marina's stock too. But look, not to get into that. Joanna put on the show. She still fought well. Zhang Weili was way more technical in that fight, and she had improved way more than Joanna improved since that first fight. And that's just because of experience. I said it in the breakdown that you can't recreate that in fight experience. You can train who you want to, you can do whatever you need to do, but you can't recreate that. And Zhang Weili did that and bossed the fuck up and knocked her out cold. I mean, we hadn't seen Joanna get hit with that since Doug Rose. And look, Zhang Weili, I believe, is our new strawweight champion. I think whoever was winning this fight was winning the belt next. And going into it, I thought Zhang Weili would win. And she's just gotten that much better. Working with Cejudo, she's gotten so much more technical, so much more smart in her game, in her in-round game plan. Because you can have a game plan in between rounds or even going before the fight, but once you get hit or get put in a bad position, do you fall into what you're supposed to do? Like, she would always fall into, all right, let me clinch up. I'm stronger than Joanna. Let me use that to get takedowns and do work, and then force Joanna to carry my weight and make her tired, and then make her overexert herself. And then she overexerted herself at the wrong time and fell into a spinning back fist and KO'd her. So props to Zhang Weili, man. She's fighting for that belt next. It was already said before fight even happened, that the winner was fighting for the belt. So she deserves it. Carla, I hope you had a good honeymoon. I hope you had a good time with the belt. But it will be coming back home to China. Thank you. It's the co-main event. Valentina, the bullet Shevchenko versus Tyler Santos. I mean, before I get into this, to sound like I'm biased, I'm going to give my opinion round by round. Round one, I believe Valentina won. She won rounds. She won 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the round until she tried to hip toss Tyler Santos, which is like, why are you? She had double underhooks and then tried to hip toss Tyler Santos when just didn't have to do that. But look, and she did that headlock throw so many times. It was really starting to infuriate me. But I think she did a better job in that first round. She controlled 3 minutes and 30 minutes of that round until she got her back taken off of that throw. She didn't get a take. Tyler didn't get a takedown. She didn't really control her. She kind of just fought her hands, had a body triangle and fought hands. She didn't really sink. She never sunk it in to the point where Valentina had to truly escape. She kind of threw in like a mini neck crank for like 5 minutes, but that was for like 5 seconds, and then that was all she did. So it was really, in my opinion, Valentina's round. So I'll say one Valentina. Round two, I think Tyler, that was 100% her round. She dominated with control, and she was able to advance positions and get to more advantageous positions to try to hopefully get that sub. She never got it, but she attempted it, and that's good enough. That's good enough. That's what won Aljamain Sterling the belt. So if she would have done that for a longer period of time in that first round, she 100% I would have said she won, because Valentina outpointed her, but she didn't dominate to outpoint her. She just outpointed her, and a minute and 30 seconds of a 5 minute round doesn't win you a fight, in my opinion. What doesn't win you a round, in my opinion? It just doesn't. So round two's Tyler. So 1-1. I say Tyler took round three. It was very close. Shevchenko was able to get up a lot easier in this round. Tyler definitely started the gas a little bit, but she kept doing her shit. She stuck to her game plan, which is what you have to do against Valentina. You have to stick to your game plan, even if you're tired. And that started to hit Tyler later on. This is why I said it was a learning experience for her. It's going to be a learning experience in the breakdown, because she made simple little mistakes. She was able to let Valentina get up a little bit easier this time. Would let her slip out a little bit, like when you're like, oh, how would you let her get out of this one? So and Valentina, her striking was started to get a lot more crisp, and there was a lot more power behind it. Let's let me say it like that. She put a lot more weight behind that back foot in that round. So I'll say Tyler that won that round. It was definitely close. But the thing is, Tyler didn't. That's why I said, Tyler, you have to dominate these positions with either ground and pound or threaten the sub every single second, where you basically have a sub attempt the whole time. She didn't really do that. So that's where I think the judges were kind of like, I don't know. You gotta take the belt. That's what I always say. The challenger, you have to take that belt from champion. Where we didn't really see that in the Carla fight against Rose, but you have to try to take risk. And Tyler, in the first 3 rounds, Tyler was taking all the risks. She was doing anything she can to win that belt. Then the 4th round hit. And that's when you started to see the gears shift a little bit differently. The coaches are telling Valentina, you gotta work, you gotta grind, you gotta stand up. You cannot keep clinching. She is good in the clinch. She is strong in the clinch. You don't have to be in the clinch. You're forcing that. You're the one initiating the clinch, and she was. She was the one trying to get the clinch and trying to dominate Tyler at her own game. When it's like, Valentina, we're not. You don't have to do that. You don't want to be GSP because she almost was. She almost got subbed in that first round. She almost did. If Tyler would have been a little bit quicker right when they got to the back take, she would have subbed it. So it's just little things like that are like. And you see it with champions. You see it, like I just said, GSP did it. I mean, you just see them make those little itty bitty mistakes where you're like, why are you overexerting yourself right here? Why are you going trying to take her down? You don't have to take her down. You're beating her standing up. You're beating her every time. Like, she was quicker than Tyler, which is crazy because Tyler's fast. Tyler's fast with her hands, but she was quicker than Tyler on the feet. And Tyler, every time she would get hit with a combo, she would immediately back up, put her hands like this. And that's a sign of somebody who doesn't know what the fuck is coming next. And then the clash of heads happened, and in that round 4, I think it was round 3 or 4. But it made it tougher for Tyler, and by all means, that made it easier for Valentina. But it's part of the game, you know. Like, clash of heads is gonna happen. You can look up many of fights where clash of heads has happened, and you're like, oh fuck, is this girl like gonna get a doctor stop? Just get the cut over the top of her eyes, and bleed into her eye, and she's gonna get burnt. Her eye is gonna burn, or she's not gonna be able to see because her eyes closed up now. And look, I thought Valentina did everything in that side to win that fight. That's what you have to do though. Like, when you have those 4th and 5th rounds, they call them championship rounds for a reason, because more than likely you have to take one of those rounds. You have to take one of those rounds. And they say it all the time, that 4th round is the killer. You think you're good because you made it past the 15 minutes, and then you get into that 4th round and you're like, this is different. And you kind of see it on Tyler's face. It was different. And I know she had to struggle with the eye thing, but shit, I mean, there's been fighters who have won fights with worse. And so I can't sit there and blame it on an eye issue off of clash of heads, because if she would have got hit with a left hand and her eyes closed like that, everybody would be like, well, Valentina did the thing. You know, so like, just because it was a clash of heads, which is incidental, you know, like, it's just pointless to sit there and like blame it on that. But Tyler just didn't do enough, because like, if she would have tried to kept going for takedowns, she would have taken Valentina down and probably dominated her. But she was so gassed that Valentina took that 4th round, and in the 5th, she ended up getting the late takedown. And once you do that, once that happened, I was like, oh, Valentina won this fight. It's just how judges do it. If you watch enough fights, you know the judges go for like what you give them. So Valentina did her thing. I would love to see her. I had it 48-47. I said 49-46 on my breakdown. Obviously, me and that one judge were wrong because it was 48-47. By all means, Tyler won 2 rounds. You can't say Tyler didn't win 2 rounds. What rounds you give her are up to you. But Tyler won at least 2 rounds going into that 5th. So I didn't understand that, but I would love to see Tyler Santos get back in there against Lauren Murphy, Chukagian, unless Chukagian's already matched up. But I would love to see that Santos get back on the grind, because these ladies are gonna fight again. Unless Valentina retires, they're fighting again. There's nothing else I can say about it. They've been fucking. That was her toughest test. I said that would be her toughest test. My heart was beating hard that whole 4th and 5th round, because I was like, this is it. This is where we see Valentina truly tested in a fight where she needs it. Amanda Nunes, she was reaching for something. She was trying to do something different. But this one, she needed it. She needed it. If she would have lost her belt after Amanda loses her belt, loses cachet for her and the women's little hierarchy thing that's going on between them. So Valentina, I want to see Valentina fight Pena Nunes winner. Nothing else. Nothing else. I don't care about her fighting fucking unless you're running this back immediately. I don't care about her fighting fucking Fioro or like like or fucking Andrade again or who will she fight? Araujo? Like, come on, no. So like, she's the champ. She's rightfully so, and she did her thing. She deserves to. She deserves that shit. She deserves that dub. She did. She won the championship rounds, and that's all that matters, really, when it comes down to it. That they never talk about it, but they always talk about it. But once we get the final decision of fights, we're always like, the fourth and fifth round shouldn't mean so much more than others. Well, it always does. So we have to live with it. Now we're on to the main event. If you bet Yuri for a sub, you are a madman. And also, can I have the keys to your yacht? Because you just bought a house. You just bought a boat. You just bought a new Tesla. Because I had absolutely no thought that Yuri would make Glover tap, nonetheless, to a rear naked choke after he wins via rear naked choke, where it was like the Pena Nunez, like Glover versus Young, where it's kind of like you tap to that, like you kind of like the hooks weren't in. He didn't not. Now one of those were under the chin. Maybe Yuri's was. They didn't show like a clear view of it, but it didn't look like he was under the chin. It looked like he was kind of under. He was under an arm, and actually under his neck. So it's like Glover was probably super gassed, and he wanted to catch a break. And as soon as he tried to catch a break, he got caught in the submission and couldn't breathe and tap. And that's the only explanation I have for that, because other than that, it's like, Glover, you were so close, 28 seconds away. I'm not going to do a round by round thing because I don't know who won every round, but I knew Glover was winning just because of his domination on the ground, him having long periods of control time and different rounds. He was able to steal rounds from Yuri, which was very smart of Glover. He was able to use those takedowns to put damage, and he's the best in the UFC at ground and pound. He's so smart, he's so consistent with it, but it became his downfall because he overexerted himself a lot in those ground and pounds that would lead to Yuri getting up, and then Yuri got up many times. I want to say 8-9 times. Like it's just crazy that he got in that much. So, look, I thought Yuri was gonna put up this type of fight. I didn't think he was gonna last this long with that same explosiveness, because he was explosive every round. He was tired 100% in the fourth round, but and it became a little bit more spaced out, his explosiveness. But fuck, when he wanted to go, he went, and Glover could not keep his head out the way. It was like how Jake Matthews was against Fialho, where everything he threw landed, and it was like, how is Glover still standing? There was moments where I was like, how is Glover still eating this shit? And it's the fourth round, and Glover was getting smacked around, and then got a takedown, did some ground and pound, got himself out of the round. And that fifth round, you kind of seen Glover. He kind of wasn't listening to his corner. They were trying to pump him up, trying to get him into it, trying to say, this is 5 minutes for your life, the whole spiel, all that. But it just looked like he was spent, and he worked his ass off to fight to get to that fit. He wanted that decision so bad, and well, I won't even say he wanted that decision, because I almost forgot. He jumped the fucking gilly. Stop jumping the gilly. Do not jump the gilly, especially when you pass the first round, because you're sweaty. You're never gonna grab onto it. You're never gonna link onto his neck, his or her neck, tight enough to to wrap him up and to get that guillotine off. And every single time you end up on bottom. There's rarely a guillotine where you end up like Brian Ortega, where you're on top, just be able to submit the guy, and if you don't, you're in mount. You know, like it just. Look, I had an inordinate amount of cheese over by sub, you know, in my FanDuel account, and that went on by the wayside. So maybe I'm a little bit hurt, but also he had multiple times to win that fight. He's gonna look over the tape of that fight. He's gonna be very upset with himself, I think, because there was times where he could have just put Yuri away. When he jumped to Gilly, Yuri was more hurt than he was against Dom Reyes, where Dom had him literally wobbling back and forth. And so just to see Glover see that and then jump a guillotine lets me know that he was so gassed that he was looking for a finish any way possible. And it was like Poirier versus Khabib, where you're like, Dustin, you had him. Why are you jumping the Gilly? And, you know, like, it's because if you jump the Gilly against a guy with power like that, and he was, every time Yuri got on top, he would let him get up, but he would also hit him with crazy ground and pound. Because his arms are so fucking long, he would always hit him with something on the edge, and Glover would just eat it. So, look, I think it was a hell of a fight. This is easily the light heavyweight title fight of the year. No, sorry, not of the year, of all time. This was easily the best light heavyweight title fight. I mean, you could say Rampage and Rashad or Forrest and Anderson Silva because the performance Silva put on, or Machida did have a lot of great performance, but he back and forth, round to round. You couldn't even Glover was winning, but you could also say Yuri was doing damage, and at any moment either of these guys could have went out. And at the last 20 seconds, Glover did because of that rear naked choke. And Glover says he's gonna keep fighting. I would love to see him get another title fight. I would just love to see him get one more title fight. And he was a champ, you know. He obviously didn't defend it, you know, but he was 30 seconds away from doing that against a guy who was young, hungry, ready. I mean, green. So like, for him to do that and put on that type of performance at 43 years old, I mean, it's amazing. And I really think that Glover should fight a guy like Jan. I would love to see Glover and Jan again. I know I'm probably the only person who's saying that, but Jan didn't beat anybody. Jan Rakic fucking tore his ACL and early as hell. So unless Jan's fighting Ankalaev, I want to see Jan, Glover, and then Ankalaev can fight Yuri, because I believe Rakic is probably going to be out for a year. Anthony Smith, Santos don't deserve it. Reyes has gotten his ass beat for 3 straight fights. And like, I don't know, other than that, we're getting the young guns like Jamal Hill, Jimmy Crute, old heads like Paul Craig. You know, like, none of those guys are ready. So I would love to see that. I think Yuri versus Glover is the way to go. I think we're gonna have a great light heavyweight division. I give it a year. Let the guys that are at the top 10, 7, 8 fall out the wayside. I think when it all comes said and done, probably Glover's done in a year. Jan, I don't know how long Jan stays in the top 5. Ankalaev is gonna be up there, but I don't have much faith in Smith or Santos with his knees. Dom Reyes is already talking about retirement, so I don't think he's ready. Well, shit, he ain't ready. He ain't gonna want to be ready. So I don't think he ready. He gonna do it. Only, maybe Paul Craig goes on a little mini run before he retires. But other than that, I think we're issuing in a new age of light heavyweights. We needed that. Props to Jan and Glover for getting us over that little 1 year period of John Jones list light heavyweights. But now I think we're at the point where light heavyweight is going to be again one of the top divisions in the world. So props to Yuri putting on a show. I think hopefully he's a champ for many fights to come. Because he puts on exciting fights every time. So anytime you watch a Yuri fight, you know you're getting action. So I would love to see him, hold on to the belt for a little bit, put some action on, put the light heavyweight division on the map, and then promptly give it up to my boy from the Murder Mitten, Jamal Hill. But that's a story for another day. Let's wrap up this recap, this very long recap. I thought this was going to be like 20 minutes. It ended up being like 30. But look, I enjoyed it from top to bottom, all the fights. I thought it was a great night of fights. I think we're at the end of the day, we're going to look back on this card as probably the top card of the year. Barring some crazy shit from this Izzy Cannonier fucking Holloway Volk card. So barring any of that, I think we're gonna have a great card. I'll see y'all later in the week for breakdown of Qatar. It's not the country. For Cater Emmett UFC Fight Night. I'm gonna break that down. I'm probably do only the main card for that one just to let y'all be wary, and then I'll post the prelim card with all my picks on that as well. And then I'll give you my odds as well, man. I'm gonna tell you, I can't tell you where I'm leaning on Cater Emmett because I've only watched Cater's fights, last 4 fights up to this point. I haven't watched any of Emmett's because Emmett's kind of been in and out, so I just kind of wanted to wait, so I'm not like assuming Emmett's ass. When the guy's out of the wayside or not fighting for a while, you're kind of just like, they're not gonna come back good. So I want to like come in this with a fresh mind when I'm watching the fights, and then I'll probably around Thursday, Friday, y'all can expect the breakdown show, and then I'll post it there for y'all. I hope, we'll have a little fun. Maybe I'll probably try to do a little fun game with y'all. Hopefully some of y'all enjoy it. But thank y'all for tuning in for a recap show of just me talking about the fights that already happened, not me prepping y'all, trying to win y'all some money, just talking about the money we lost and the money we won. I just did a lot of losing because everything was kind of put in with the Glover. So, but look, we're here. We've been up going into this, so if it is up, then it is indeed stuck. So shout out to the people that did what needed to be done. Weili, props to Joanna on retirement. Yuri Prohashka, Valentina Shevchenko, Tyler Santos for putting on a motherfucking show and testing the champ. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try to do whatever you can and take that belt from her. She's gonna learn from it. She's gonna get better. Silvana Juarez for that knockout. Gulabo for that knockout. Jake Matthews from the fucking rafters like he's Shawn Michaels. Jesus. I can't get over it. Jake Matthews, JDM, all Australia. Good shit. Suffer Malkoon. Great night of fights. Thank y'all for just tuning in for this. Man, oh man, I'm speechless just thinking about it. Man, thank y'all for tuning in. It's a Terror Dome. If you don't know by now, tell your homie to upload it on his Google Chrome. Maybe he'll pull it up. Maybe he'll pull it up at home. We thank y'all. Terror Dome UFC 275 recap edition. We out.